And good evening, Santa Cruz. Welcome to Voices from the Village, community television's longest running talk television program, where we talk about broader kind of global and national issues, but with a local focus. And I am, of course, Sandino Gomez, your host for tonight, as we'll be talking about kind of two very important topics in the discussion around migrant and immigrant rights, as well as kind of the way that the changing nature of the federal government's response to our immigration crisis and to the kind of, I guess, the continuing problem that people's migration presents to our country and our community at large. With me tonight are two wonderful sisters, as well as a dear friend of mine, and I'm excited to get to know them a little bit with all of you. I guess starting across from me, the dear friend of mine would be Mireya Gomez-Contreras, who's the director of the Day Worker Center, a program of the Community Action Board, a long-running, awesome, amazing nonprofit that's been doing a lot of direct services here in the greater Santa Cruz County community for a very long time. And welcome to the show, Mireya. Could you tell us a little bit about the Day Worker Center and
Sure.
kind of what it does?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on today, by the way, Sandino.
Absolutely.
And the Day Worker Center opened up about 1.5 years ago, and it is an alternative to hiring workers in front of home improvement stores. So instead of going to pick up a day worker there, we encourage employers, homeowners, business owners to come or call the Day Worker Center, and we can send you out a gardener or a painter. And of course, as we move along in our conversation, I do want to talk a little bit more about how AB60, the driver's license bill, and then Obama's most recent announcement about immigration relief plays a role in kind of the bigger regional, statewide, and national work that we do. But I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, great. In addition, the Day Worker Center kind of works to help improve people's skills and develop a whole kind of series of programming to support these people, right?
Absolutely.
And that's been, I guess, coordinated with the local efforts that these two have been a part of.
Yes, that's right.
That's great. Well, then that's a perfect opportunity to introduce to Mireya's left, we have Mireya Genis, who is she's a graduate of Pajaro Valley High School and helped to start a dream club while you were there, right?
Yes, that was in 2011 when we were about to graduate. A few students, Ramiro Medrano was our advisor.
Great.
And he was the one who helped us start the Dream Club, and we started to do fundraise. And from there, we saw that it was more than just getting money for college. We saw that our community needed a lot of resources, and yeah, that's when we started.
Great. And what is the Dream Club stand for? What is it exactly?
Well, the Dream Club, we got it from the Dream Act.
Right.
The Dream Act is, we have the Federal Dream Act and then the Dream Act, the California State Dream Act.
California State, yes.
So that's where we got the Dream.
Cool.
And yeah.
Allowing migrant students to go to colleges at in-state prices and making it affordable and achievable
Right.
for folks who...
Yeah, and in that time, there weren't a lot of resources for undocumented students. We didn't have the California Dream Act, and we didn't have DACA, and we only had the AB540, and we couldn't apply for scholarships from the schools, private scholarships. So it was difficult to get money for college.
Yeah.
So that's why we saw how it was necessary for us to start fundraising to pay for school.
Yeah. It's been in the news a lot, the kind of cost of an education and the tuition, and
And the debt.
Students are definitely protesting. There was a lot of talk about the 5% over 5 years
Right.
tuition increase. That's
UC.
been a big, within the UC system. But even within there's funding crises, unfortunately, within community and statewide colleges as well. So, well, if I understand correctly, your sister is still at Pajaro Valley High?
Yes.
Yeah? Welcome to the show, Rubi.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tell us a little about yourself and your efforts with the Dream Club at Pajaro Valley High.
Well, right now, I'm in my sophomore year,
Uh-huh.
and I joined my freshman year because I felt like it was the best. I don't want to be stuck later on and not know how to like get scholarships, because I know they were giving scholarships too, and I also wanted to help not only for myself or like for other members, but like also to the community, for like people who are gonna like come and just like, I don't know, whoever wants to be in the club.
Just a little louder, please.
And yeah, and right now we're like doing some workshops about the AB60, and we're helping some people. We barely had our workshop a month ago, and some people, well, there was a lot of people that showed up. It was a big experiment for me, because I usually don't do a workshop and I'm not the one helping or anything like that. I'm just like watching, but this time I actually got time to just do it and help people.
That's great. And what were the workshops on? Because it's connected to AB60, which I guess there's a lot of, that's one of our topics we'll talk about tonight as we kind of continue. But just to really clearly define for our audience, AB60 is Assembly Bill 60, which is going into effect. It's law now. It's been passed and signed by the governor and everything. It's going into effect January 1st and will allow undocumented people to acquire California driver's licenses for the purposes of identification and as well as driving. So one of the needs that the Immigration Action Group, if I understand correctly, and other local activists was a need for driver's education, both bilingual and multilingual kind of education around how to safely drive and how to take the DMV test and how to actually drive safely and everything else according to getting a license. So that's part of what the workshops have been about, if I understand correctly. This is driver's education for migrant folk, correct?
Yes. Right.
Great. Tell us just more about that. Like how did that happen and stuff?
So what the Immigration Action Group has been doing is providing resources, getting the materials for people who want to help out, because our goal is not only to do workshops and tell people about the law, but also teach the community so that the community gets informed and the community goes out there and tells the people like what the law is. So empowering the community, informing them. So we provide those resources. We train people. In our office, we have been offering them to come to the office and study, because I think it's very important, because the law is coming into effect on January 1st, 2015. So it's very important to have the community prepare for the law. I think in other states similar law has passed, and a lot of people have failed the test. So we don't want that. We want them to be ready. So with the Dream Club, and what we also and Mireya have been doing is that when we have our workshops, we have like a little session where we help people like give some techniques on how to study. Since we have graduated and we kind of have some strategies on how we study, hopefully that helps them, and try to teach them what we know, our knowledge.
Yeah. So it goes into effect January 1st, and this is essentially a license for just about anyone who qualifies for this license. Does anyone know exactly?
The people that qualify for this license, well, basically these are some of the things that people need to do in order to qualify. They need to pay off any fees if they owe the DMV anything. They have to pay that off. They have to be of age, so 16 and over. They have to go through various steps, including making an appointment to take the written test. If they pass the written test, they get their thumbprint taken, they get their photograph taken, they take the vision test, they have to pass the driving test, and and that's it. So basically, they go through the same process. But of course, for a lot of undocumented folks, all of those things are easy to say, but they're not easy to do necessarily. Right. The written test will be offered in many languages, but even for the people that are going to take the the Spanish language test, some people will need help, like Mireya mentioned, to study. 80% of the people in other states who have taken this test do not pass. And so we're working really hard to make sure that the passing rate is much different from the way it's been in other states. So the process is similar to what everybody else does to obtain their driver's license, but the preparation and I guess that's really it. The preparation isn't there, and so we want to make sure that it is.
That's super cool. So where have you been doing all of these trainings exactly? Like you mentioned the high school.
Right.
Where else?
The high school, middle schools, elementary schools in Watsonville, but we also have been going into Salinas and Santa Cruz, especially like in the churches, the schools. I think that's where we can, it's easy for us to go and tell people. So, yeah.
Yeah, going where folks already are. Great.
And I think that the DMV and also the community has been very, very helpful with, you know, learning about it and trying to teach and trying to take materials, trying to take packets for the people, you know, at their work or their family members. So yeah, hopefully everyone's ready for it.
That's great. Yeah, well, a lot more people will be ready because of your efforts, and you know, that's great that it's able to happen in so many different places. Cool. Anything else you'd like to say about the efforts around AB60 and kind of what's going on before we move on to DAPA and the kind of next topic?
Well, I think it's a step, a big step that California has done. You know, a lot of people before, when we didn't have this law, you know, they were afraid because they were gonna be stopped, they were gonna get a ticket. So I think people now are gonna be able to drive more confident and secure. And even though this law is not for the A and B, what is it?
Class
It's
license.
just gonna be the C class. It's still something, and it's great that the Jerry Brown signed this law, and Luis Alejo help out.
Was he one of the sponsors or the author of
Yeah,
the
he
bill?
was one of the sponsors.
Yeah.
So I think it's great, and it's something that excites me, and I think we are going in the right path.
I have two more things to add.
Please, yeah.
One thing I forgot to say is that people that are going to apply for their driver's license have to prove their residency and their they have to prove identity as well. And so there's a whole set of documents that the DMV is going to accept. And of course, anybody who wishes to obtain that information, they can go online onto the DMV website, or they can call one of the information centers in the county. The Day Worker Center is one place. The SEMA office in Watsonville is another place.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is just one of the questions that gets asked a lot is, will this driver's license be very different from the regular driver's license? And the answer to that briefly is that the only two small changes that are going to be on the driver's license for AB folks is three letters on the front of the driver's license are going to say federal limits apply. So that either those words or that acronym is going to be on the front.
The federal, I'm not sure if it's the acronym.
Federal limits apply is what it's going to say on the front. And then on the back, it's going to have another sentence kind of elaborating on that. But in essence, I mean, in passing, for somebody that doesn't know it's an AB60 driver's
Right.
license, it looks pretty
More
much
or
exactly
less.
the same. So, and like Mireya mentioned, the context around that is that folks that have the AB60 driver's license, they fear being discriminated because if it were to look very different. But it isn't going to look too differently, and that's something that we're very proud about and thankful that Assemblymember Luis Alejo was able to get that.
I remember reading about that when the bill was still in the legislature about, you know,
Yeah.
what it would look like.
Right. We were actually, you know, going to Luis Alejo's office and saying like, please make sure that, you know, because I think people were concerned that we were going to be discriminated when, you know, the police saw the, you know, our driver's license, if it was going to be certain color, and like in other states, it was something that concerned us.
Yeah, certainly. Especially when there were programs like Secure Communities,
Right.
Which thankfully, news update, as I understand it, is just going to stop soon, right?
It is.
Yeah,
It is, yeah.
it's going to stop soon. So, did you have anything else? But before we go too far into that, do you have anything else to say about what you're doing at PV High and kind of the AB60 efforts and driver's licenses?
We're just helping people like know what they're gonna do and know what they're gonna say or what they need. But like the workshop we had, it was like a first workshop, so we were just doing basically what they did and trying to like help people study. At least we had like a mini test that we try to help them. There was many people were like, oh, well, people are saying that it's not like, it wasn't worth it, but like they got out there and they felt like more happy that they knew like what they were gonna need. And yeah, but at first people were saying that they weren't sure if they were gonna, they weren't sure if they were gonna actually learn it, but they did, and we helped them like learn the most important parts.
Okay. That's great. Well, very cool. So, and just so folks know, the Day Worker Center and SEMA are two awesome resources here in the county, and you can find them by just doing a search online for like SEMA Watsonville or Day Worker Center Santa Cruz. And yeah, great resources for folks. Well, speaking of no more secure communities, yay,
Yeah.
awesome. Let's talk a little bit, let's shift gears here a little bit and talk about President Obama's recent action, which we've now learned is called DAPA, Deferred Action for Parental Accountability, as I understand it. And in addition to kind of creating DAPA and allowing a lot of adults to become, well, to just gain status of some kind or another. It's not even residency or anything, but they're going to gain status, legal status, and be prevented from being deported. It's also going to expand DACA, which was Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which was kind of that same status. We will not deport you for people that arrived as children and of a certain age and certain qualifications. That was DACA. And then in addition, he announced the Secure Communities program was going to be suspended, if not just completely discontinued, hopefully. Secure Communities, of course, being a program that essentially tied in the nation's jails and county jails with its immigration system and did kind of immigration checks on every single person going in and out of county or jail facilities. I think it was 30. So yeah, the Secure Communities program kind of was definitely of concern to activists here locally, and I know the Immigration Action Group worked a lot on kind of asking former Sheriff Phil Wowak, but now current Sheriff, oh my gosh, Hart? Right, yeah. Sheriff Hart has already announced, even before, that he was willing to work with the community around Secure Communities. But this is great news on a federal level where kind of from the top down, I guess Sheriff Hart's a wonderful example of bottom-up pressure creating change, but how great is it that we now have President Obama discontinuing the Secure Communities program. Were any of you involved in the campaign here locally around Secure Communities? And could anyone want to say anything more about that effort to pressure our local leaders?
I was involved with it originally, and I know we were I was part of the group that was pressuring the county to take a real strong stance against Secure Communities and direct Sheriff Phil Wowak to not comply with the detainers. And to be honest with you, I don't have the details as far as Obama's announcement that it's going to end soon. I know I've heard a lot of talk about it. I don't know if you're aware of the most recent decision.
What I've heard is that I think they changed just the name of secure communities. And it's something important to say is that in California, they passed a Trust Act, el Acta del Sueño.
De confianza.
De confianza, perdón. So I think that's also a big step.
Yeah.
And that, with that, what it does is that usually when people, ICE would ask, the local county jails about, do you have anyone who's undocumented? And they would come and then they would take them and deport them. So I think with the Trust Act, it gives like the freedom for the local county jails for not to accept any request from ICE. If they ask, they were like, oh. And I think it's great because in California we have like a lot of undocumented folks, and a lot of people were deported and are still being deported. And I'm glad that President Obama announced his executive action. Yet I think that there's a lot of people who are out, and I think we need to continue pressure him because we're not done. We need to continue. There's a lot of parents who's leaving their childs behind, and what Obama did was parents from UC, from citizens and legal permanent residents could apply now for DAPA. But what about like our parents, for us as undocumented people? What about parents who don't have kids who are citizens? Right. I think I am happy, kind of, that he announced this, and that there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to be afraid of being deported. Yet we still have a lot of people who are out, and we need to continue pressuring him.
Right. Yeah. The bad news about, I don't want to sound all rosy here, because I think definitely there are a lot of problems with Obama's announcement. The bad news, of course, being, as you were just mentioning, this is only going to affect around, like, as I understand it, 5 million out of a population of anywhere between like 11 to 13 million
right.
people. So there's still a lot of folks where this isn't really going to be A, affecting them, or B, a change in their day-to-day lives.
Right.
I think the driver's license is a wonderful way of helping people take a step kind of out of the shadows and out of this like weird second-class citizen, not even citizenship, right? It's not even second-class citizens, it's like
right.
second-class, I don't know.
Status.
Yeah, it's just a second-class status in a big way.
Yeah.
And that's great that, the driver's license is one way to bring people out of that and, create confidence amongst the community with government and institutions, but it's not enough. It's definitely not enough. And of course, the other thing is kind of like you said, it's just a status. It's not actually a path to citizenship.
Right.
There's no residency here. No one's getting their green cards. This is just something that's going to go on until Obama's out of office. And
Exactly.
then it's very likely that it could change, or the next president might not continue it. Or
Exactly.
yeah, and it's a real shame, real failure, I think, of the whole of Congress, really, to pass any meaningful reform. I think you hear Obama saying all the time, and I think it's true, that there's been efforts within Congress to pass a lot of different kinds of bills, a lot of really great ones, a lot of really bad ones as well, but nothing, seems like Congress is just incapable of passing anything. Has anyone been involved in any kind of like lobbying efforts or anything to speak of that they wanted to mention? Or just anything around that topic?
Around DAPA?
Yeah.
Well, at the Day Worker Center, there were more workers that didn't qualify for DAPA than do qualify. And so, like Mireya mentioned before we went on air, it is a bittersweet feeling that we have about it. And I also, that idea of for the people that will qualify, what you just mentioned about, well, what will happen once Obama is out of office? And also the process that they have to take in order to qualify, and besides paying the $465 and having the background check, and I mean, it's a pretty gruesome process. And they're in essence turning themselves into the government and saying, hey, I'm undocumented.
Right.
And so they're really going to be at the mercy of the government once Obama's out of office. And that's a big concern, because it's not, you know, a lot of undocumented people already live on the margins and in the shadows, and that's, I think for a lot of folks, that's where it feels safer. And so coming into the light under DAPA is one thing, but not knowing what's going to happen after Obama's out is a whole nother problem.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. There's something that you wanted to say about DAPA on a personal level?
Well, I think the people who made this happen were the people who were being protesting, who were calling Obama. You know, the last year, I think it was a lot of people were arrested, were, you know, doing protest. So I think it's important that we continue doing that, because we're not done.
We're not. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that this is sort of like the civil rights struggle of our era. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's really kind of forcing people into positions where they're just doing some of the hardest work for the lowest pay, and it's kind of
Right.
like, on one level, we claim to be about so many great things, but then on another, it's just a real harsh reality of just, you know, this country has always used immigrant labor as its just workforce, you know, and it's never been appreciated, and it's always been overexploited, and just seems like, you know, same stink, different day, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I just want to announce, because I've been finally given the correct information, that this is a live call-in show. Well, I guess if you're watching, let's see, happy holidays, because it's Sunday, December 14th. And if you're watching this show now, you can call in at 425-8848, extension 30. If you have a question for Mireya, Maria, or Rubi, we'd love to hear from you. This is, again, Community Television's Voices from the Village program. I'm your host, Sandino Gomez, and I've been talking with these ladies about AB60, the driver's license for undocumented folks here in California, as well as the DAPA announcement, Obama's most recent kind of announcement around immigration and trying to normalize some of the 13 million people who are here, just are trying to survive and are trying to make a go at it, and I don't think should be scapegoated, as America loves to do so lovely, for a lot of problems that are not being caused by migrants. You know, I think our economy certainly could use a lot of help, but the people that are ruining it, quote unquote, are not the migrant folks taking some of the lowest wage jobs. It's much more the bankers and Wall
Big
Street and the big
corporations,
corporations that are just, you know, outsourcing our jobs and kind of really benefiting from these whole situations rather than trying to. Anything to say around that before we were kind of reached about the halfway point? So I don't know where people are at about how they feel on continuing our conversation, or if we want to.
Well, I think it's important to know that, you know, there's people migrate because of different issues, especially violence sometimes in their countries, escaping from, you know, government, you know, policies, and I think now NAFTA and is an example of that, and I think also with the current president of Mexico, Enrique Peña Nieto, and the energy reforma energética, and now with the students. So it's hard, I think, not only from Mexico, because I think undocumented people come from all over the world, but everywhere. I think it's hard, and I think that's why people are coming here, and they need the help.
Yeah.
Give me your poor, tired, huddled masses, right? Yearning to breathe free.
That's it.
That's what it's supposed to, well, you know, that's what it used to stand for, accordingly, supposedly. Right on the good old Statue of Liberty, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right about just forces beyond people's control, like NAFTA, right? Forcing thousands, if not millions, of Mexican, farm workers essentially to leave their lands, their traditional lands that they either own or had, otherwise occupied, to come up here and work in this beast. I mean, and then it's again just such. It just infuriates me that these are the people who get scapegoated for our country's problems when, I mean, those folks are like on yachts and
Yeah.
in country clubs, if we're going to be honest about it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I may add, one of
please.
the other pieces to Obama's immigration relief announcement is the expansion of DACA,
Yeah,
which is
mention that,
the
please.
deferred action for childhood arrivals. And I just wanted to make sure to mention that because it affects a lot of students here locally. And so one of the things that changed with DACA, and it went into effect immediately, is that there's no age limit anymore. So as long as the person was here from January 1st, 2010 forward, they qualify. And what are the other two factors there?
They have come before the age of 16. So 2000, they come here 2010 January 1st. Before the age of 16 would qualify. So we have more folks qualify for that.
Great. So it's available to more people than it was before. Because
Yeah.
there was like an upper limit at some point, right?
Yeah,
Right.
right. And I know whenever I walk by the Santa Cruz County Immigration Project, in the evenings there's a long line or a large group of people asking for information about DACA and applying for DACA and renewing their application for DACA. And so I think on the ground, the efforts to help folks or students qualify and get their their work permit,
Their
because
work
that's what
permit,
comes
yes.
along with it. It's a really important thing.
Great. Is there anything happening around DAPA or DACA with the Dream Club?
No, not
Ruby?
yet. Right
No?
now we're just focusing on the AB60 because that's what most people are paying attention to it, especially parents that are obviously afraid of going to take their children to school or going to the store and getting stopped by the cops.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're mostly focusing on that first. I'm not sure if we're later on gonna focus on that or if they want to also do workshops right now. Well, right now we're not doing workshops because we're in our finals and we're trying to get through school.
Studies first. Yes.
Yes, so pretty sure we're gonna have another workshop about the AB60, just not yet.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing at a time,
Yeah.
One thing at a time. Is there any other DAPA programming planned?
And I think
Mireya?
that it's also important that we don't have like a lot of that information yet.
Right.
Like the application hasn't come out yet, so we're still waiting on more like information. And definitely we're gonna be doing workshops and be helping out the Dream Club, to do those workshops too in their school, because I think we can get a lot of parents there at the schools. So definitely, in the future, we will be doing.
Cool. You mentioned the Santa Cruz Immigration Project. Could you just mention briefly a little bit more about that and how they're helping out?
Sure.
Mireya?
The Santa Cruz County Immigration Project is also a program of the Community Action Board, and they're based in Watsonville. And basically, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to, I believe, 4 o'clock. And they're helping, they provide legal services around immigration, so immigration and legal services. And so they deal with DACA, and they can answer questions about DAPA, and they can help with AB60, but they can also help with really any issue related to immigration, applying for citizenship. They have practice tests there. If people have special cases, if they want to apply for a family member to come to the States, they can help with that. And so it's a great resource that we have in the community, as is SEMA. And I know that they are really busy. So whoever would like to access services there, I would recommend calling and making an appointment.
Get an appointment.
And I think it's great that we have the program. I've heard like we go and do these workshops and we talk to people and we talk about the AB60, DACA, and all that stuff. And they tell us that it's expensive. Paying the $460 plus than asking a lawyer, going to a lawyer.
Attorney fees.
And sometimes seeing the lawyer is more expensive than getting your work permit, than filling out your work permit. So it's great. The Dream Club has also in the past has done DACA workshops, and they're free for everyone. So we help them fill out their application, and we have attorneys. If they have a question, they can see the attorney. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, wonderful that you have such great services, because I mean, these things, while they sound nice on paper, are often unachievable for folks, either because of resources or language barriers or any other number of problems. Cool. Well, what do you say we switch things up here a little, huh?
Sure.
Somos bilingües.
Claro que sí.
Podemos practicar un poquito. Yo puedo practicar, pues. No soy el nativo de español, pero vamos a intentar, ¿no?
Claro.
Bienvenido a Voces del Pueblo, ¿no? El programa de charlar sobre los temas y las preguntas nacionales y internacionales, pero aquí en un nivel local, ¿no? Y cómo afecta estas cosas que ocurren nacionalmente e internacionalmente aquí localmente, pues en nuestro pueblo, en nuestro condado. Yo soy el Augusto César Sandino Gómez II, el general de Hombres Locos, y bueno, de este programa. Y al mínimo estamos aquí con 3 personas excelentes, puedo decir. Una amiga mía que es también directora del programa de los, ¿cómo se dice en español?
Jornaleros.
Jornaleros, programa, el Centro de Jornaleros del Condado de Santa Cruz, un programa de Community Action Board, no sé cómo se dice en español, ¿no?
Yeah.
La mesa de acción del pueblo, no sé.
Sí.
Yeah. Pero estamos aquí con Mireya Gomez-Contreras, pero también a la izquierda de Mireya tenemos un estudiante de Cabrillo que también es parte del grupo de inmigración, ¿no? Grupo de acción, inmigración, ¿o cómo se llama en español? Pues, discúlpame.
Grupo en Acción para Inmigrantes.
Okay.
Sí, estoy ahorita en Cabrillo y también estoy trabajando con la organización y dando información sobre la ley AB60 y sobre otros recursos que tenemos.
Qué bueno. Y usted se llama Genis, y a su izquierda tenemos su hermana, que es una estudiante ahí en la escuela de secundaria de Pajaro Valley, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Y eres parte del Club de Sueños, ¿no?
Sí.
Bueno, decir que si puedes decirnos un poquito del grupo de Sueños.
Nosotros básicamente hacemos, ahorita estamos haciendo unos workshops, talleres. De la AB60, pero también nos enfocamos en juntar dinero para los seniors, que ya es su último año, para que tengan un poco de dinero. Vamos a estar dando becas y nomás estamos ayudándoles para que sigan después a la escuela y a la universidad.
Qué bueno, un grupo que apoya a los estudiantes llegar a la universidad o al colegio después de la secundaria.
Sí.
Qué bueno. Y gracias, Rubi, Genis y María Genis y Mireya Gómez, gracias por juntarles con nosotros, ¿no? Si tienen una pregunta o si quieren comentar, el número aquí en el estudio es 425-8848 y la extensión es 30. Y yo puedo empujar aquí y puedes hablar con nosotros si quieren. Pero estamos aquí hablando un poquito de 2 temas. Tenemos la tema como dice, la nueva ley, pues, que va a ocurrir, no es un bill ya, es la ley, estaba firmado por el gobernador Jerry Brown, que va a permitir, el AB60, se va a permitir que la gente que no tiene documentaciones, la gente que está aquí, toda la gente, pues, que se pueden sacar una licencia de conducir, ¿no? Y que esto es buenas noticias porque es uno de los problemas, ¿no? De estar aquí sin documentos, que si se te paren, ¿cómo vas a estar bien con la ley? Puedes sacar la aseguranza, puedes registrar su vehículo, pero si no tiene licencia, pues estás mal con la ley. Pero esta nueva ley se va a dar la oportunidad que la gente pueda estar bien y seguro con la ley mientras que están conduciendo, ¿no?
Así es.
Qué bueno, qué bueno, qué bueno. Y que hay muchas acciones aquí que están ocurriendo localmente. Una de ustedes pueden decirnos un poquito de cómo están preparando aquí localmente por la nueva ley.
Pues en el centro jornalero en donde yo trabajo, estamos ofreciendo varias cosas. Primero estamos ofreciendo información acerca de esta ley, la ley AB60. Entonces, si alguien tiene una pregunta, pueden venir al centro y les podemos dar desde el examen escrito, una copia del examen escrito para que estudien, el libro también para que estudien toda la información que va a salir en el examen, una lista de los documentos que van a necesitar para comprobar su identidad y su residencia, y hasta podemos ayudarles a hacer una cita para que tomen el examen escrito en el DMV. Y trabajamos muy cercanamente con Mireya y me gustó el nombre que le acabas de dar al grupo, el Grupo en Acción para Inmigrantes.
Sí.
Entonces, trabajamos muy cercanamente y también Mireya da presentaciones a través del condado, pero afuera del condado también.
Sí, bueno, yo trabajo con el grupo y con la organización, y lo que estamos haciendo ahorita con la AB60 es, sí, dar presentaciones, dar talleres en la comunidad, en Santa Cruz, en Watsonville y también en Salinas. Hablamos sobre la ley, cuáles son los requisitos, cuándo entra en efecto, y también como Mireya les proveemos el paquete que tiene el manual, las cosas que se necesitan, y también una de las cosas que hacemos es entrenar a gente de la comunidad para que ellos puedan hacer estas presentaciones en su trabajo, si viven pues ahí en los apartamentos donde vivan, en casas, donde pueda que ellos puedan hacer esta presentación para la demás gente, porque pues no tenemos como suficiente personal para que vaya y haga muchísimos talleres. Entonces queremos que la comunidad vaya, como ellos mismos vayan aprendiendo y vayan haciendo las presentaciones. No sé si es la palabra correcta, pero como empoderarse ellos mismos, aprender cómo dar estas presentaciones, y nosotros les proveemos los materiales. El DMV nos provee la mayoría de los materiales, y otros nosotros le hacemos los exámenes que se van a tomar para que ellos mismos empiecen a practicar. También lo que hacemos es, durante la presentación damos una pequeña sección y repasamos como los exámenes, enseñamos nuestras técnicas de cómo estudiar, lo que nosotros sabemos, compartir nuestro knowledge, nuestra sabiduría,
Yeah.
de como estudiantes, y cómo nosotros aprendemos, porque pues tal vez ellos no han ido a la escuela como en mucho tiempo, entonces tal vez no sepan cómo hacerle para estudiar, y es complicado a veces tratar de proveer como la información y lo que nosotros sabemos.
Uh-huh. Casi me parece que es una escuela de cómo conducir, ¿no?
Sí, y
mucha
pues,
educación.
Sí, y también en la oficina estamos diciéndole a la gente que si ellos quieren, si no tienen en su casa como un lugar para que se junten varias personas entre grupos, pueden venir a la oficina y ahí a estudiar allá en lugar donde puedan ellos estudiar, entre grupos.
En el centro migratorio ahí en Watsonville.
Sí, enfrente, encima.
Encima, sí.
Encima.
Encima.
Ahí enfrente del DMV, ahí en Watsonville estamos.
Ujú. Y también hay estos programas en el centro de jornaleros, ¿no?
Así es.
Sí,
Ajá.
qué bueno. Y he oído que también hay talleres en la escuela secundaria de Pajaro Valley.
Sí, tuvimos uno un mes. ¿Qué pasó?
Dinos un poquito del taller y de qué hablaron y cómo se reaccionaron la gente.
En el principio estábamos hablando de los requisitos que necesitaban. Después los partimos en grupos y cada un miembro tenía un grupo. Y en esos grupos había 2 miembros del club y les ayudamos a aprender, a saber qué es la ley y a aprender los requisitos que necesitaban y lo que iban a hacer, los exámenes. Les ayudamos un poquito en los exámenes. Es casi lo que hicimos y también teníamos comida porque muchos de ellos habían llegado de trabajar o de algo, pero es lo único que hicimos.
Sí, es importante lo que hacen, ¿no?
Sí.
Ofrecer esta información y qué bueno que esta información existe donde la gente ya tiene que ir, ¿no? Tienen que ir a la escuela o mucha gente prefiere ir a la iglesia o tienen que ir a sus centros comunitarios, ¿no? Y que se pueden ofrecer estos tipos de educación ahí y ofrecer estos técnicas y ¿cómo se dice? Los skills, ¿no?
Habilidades. ¿No?
Capacidades, ¿no? De cómo estudiar y cómo se pueden preparar para estos exámenes, porque creo que me han dicho ya en inglés que mucha gente no pasan estos exámenes en los otros estados que han pasado leyes similares, pues, que mucha gente no pasa, ¿no?
8 de cada 10
Wow.
no pasan.
Yeah.
Y creo que es importante de que enfocar un poco de nuestra energía en la juventud, porque ellos creo que tienen mucha energía para aprender y para dar estos talleres a la comunidad. Creo que es muy bueno que el grupo, que el Dream Club se esté enfocando y esté haciendo estos talleres, porque creo que tienen mucha habilidad y energía para hacer esto.
Qué bueno. ¿Algo más de nuestros... ¿Dónde pueden ir a conseguir más información, pues, para si quieren saber más? ¿Dónde mandamos la gente?
Pues para empezar pueden llamar al centro jornalero y el número del centro es 475-9675. 475-9675. También pueden ir a la oficina de CIMA, que está enfrente del DMV en Watsonville.
Enfrente del DMV, y bueno, si necesitan como paquetes, hay mucha gente que lleva los paquetes para sus familiares, pueden venir y llevar lo que necesiten.
También pueden revisar la página de internet del DMV y ahí también básicamente ahí viene toda la información que pueden necesitar. Aparte, deberían de hacer sus citas si están interesados en aplicar para conseguir su licencia de conducir. Y creo que habías dicho que solamente hasta el fin de año pueden hacer cita, ya empezando, ¿o me equivoqué?
No,
Okay, qué bueno.
sí, ya mucha gente empezó a aplicar para sus citas y ya creo que varios meses ya están llenos.
Hasta marzo.
Okay.
Ya hasta marzo está lleno.
Sí,
Por lo que yo
Hay la demanda,
he visto.
pues.
Sí, no hay mucha gente
Yeah,
que
yeah.
está aplicando.
Sí, creo que son como 10,000.
10,000.
Creo que como 10,000
Oh.
en el condado de Santa Cruz.
Wow.
Son elegibles 10,000 personas.
Wow.
10,000.
Creo que es esa la cantidad que tenemos.
¿Qué cantidad? Sí, no, me da...
Sí,
sin
creo que en
palabras.
California tenemos una gran población de gente que necesita la licencia.
Ya, bueno, hablando de la gente que necesitan licencias, pero la gente que necesita no un estatus, ¿no? Una posición aquí legalmente, ¿no? Vamos a cambiar los temas, ¿no? Un poquito y hablaremos del presidente Obama, el nuevo anuncio de él que hay un nuevo programa para los padres de personas También una expansión de la programa que ya existe, que se llama la DACA, ¿no? En inglés, pero es el programa para los jóvenes que llegaron aquí cuando eran niños, pero que ya están parte de comunidades. Y pues también que van a cambiar o van a quitar el programa Comunidades Seguras, ¿no? que se enfocaba en conectar las cárceles de los sistemas del condado, de ciudades, en toda la nación, con el centro y con la red de migración, ¿no? Y que corren todos los nombres de que la gente que entra en la cárcel para el sistema y que te pueden parar la gente y darles, pasarles a las agentes de ICE, ¿no? Que son la migra. Pero gran noticias. ¿Uno de ustedes pueden hablar un poquito de qué es la DAPA en inglés? El nombre en inglés es la DAPA, pero también hablar un poquito, tal vez uno puede hablar de de la DACA, la expansión de la DACA.
Pues el 20 de noviembre el presidente de los Estados Unidos, el presidente Obama, hizo un anuncio acerca de que hay personas en este país que no tienen documentos para estar aquí, tienen la posibilidad de aplicar y recibir, bueno, no es ni apoyo ni ayuda realmente, pero personas pueden calificar para que se sientan seguros en este país y no ser deportados. O sea, es hasta difícil para mí explicar lo que es realmente, pero personas que califican para este programa que se llama DAPA no van a ser deportados por un periodo de tiempo y ese periodo de tiempo es el tiempo que va a seguir en su posición el presidente Obama. ¿Quién sabe qué pase después? Pero para aplicar para ese programa necesitan pagar $465, tienen que tener un hijo, es lo más importante, un hijo o una hija que sea residente o que sea ciudadano. Entonces, es algo que va a ayudar a bastante gente y va a hacer sentir seguro a mucha gente aquí, pero también mucha gente no califica para este programa. Y entonces, como ya había dicho María anteriormente, no hemos terminado nuestro trabajo y vamos a seguir presionando para que el gobierno tome acción que realmente afecte de una manera más significante a las personas, especialmente en este condado, que hay en este país, en este estado de California, que hay mucha gente que se puede beneficiar.
Creo que, si no estoy mal, es como 25% de la gente indocumentada vive en California.
Sí.
Sí, y también otra de las cosas que hizo el presidente Obama es de que la acción diferida para los que llegaron menores de edad a los Estados Unidos, también expandió, digamos, que la fecha antes era que los niños tenían que llegar antes del 2007, de junio del 2007, y entonces ahora es enero del 2010. Entonces ahí ya deja que más gente pueda aplicar, y claro, tienen que llegar antes de los 16 años, y también ya no hay límite. Antes el límite era de que la gente tenía que llegar antes de los 31 años, y ahora ya no está ese límite. Y pues sí, como mi compañera estaba diciendo, es importante que el presidente Obama tomó esta acción, y fue gracias a que mucha gente lo estuvo presionando, muchas protestas, muchas personas fueron arrestadas y estuvieron llamándolo y presionándolo, pero hay que seguir luchando porque hay mucha gente que no aplicó. Muchos de nuestros padres no podrán aplicar esto, entonces todavía las deportaciones continúan, y pues Obama es uno de los presidentes que ha deportado más gente. Entonces sí, está bien que haya hecho esto, pero no se termina la lucha y hay que seguir presionándolo, hay que seguir pues haciendo, no sé, algo para que sepa que no estamos contentos, que necesitamos más.
Hay millones y millones más, ¿no?
Sí.
Que todavía necesitan un movimiento que va a exigir la igualdad para todos, ¿no? Y que que esto sí es un movimiento que se va a seguir como movimiento porque, bueno, la acción es buen anuncio, pero no es lo que necesitamos, que es la igualdad y justicia para todos, ¿no? No solo para algunos que tienen el suerte de tener un hijo o hija o llegar a una fecha, no otra fecha.
Exactamente.
Pues muchas gracias por hablar con nosotros y hablar con la gente de Santa Cruz y pasar esta información tan importante, ¿no? A los ciudadanos y los non ciudadanos, ¿no? La gente, toda la gente, pues, que bueno, creo es un reportaje importante que la gente aprenda un poquito de lo que está ocurriendo. Y entonces, gracias mucho, Mireya, María, Rubi, muchas gracias.
Gracias por invitarnos.
Sí, claro. ¿Y dónde pueden ir para conseguir más información de sus centros antes que vayamos, ¿no? Rapidito, ¿dónde se pueden ir, ¿no?
El Centro Jornalero 475-9675. Estamos por la Avenida 7 y pueden llamar cualquier día, cualquier hora y dejar mensajes si no estamos.
Qué chido.
Y pues ahí nosotros estamos, no me acuerdo muy bien de la dirección, pero estamos, me imagino que todos saben dónde está enfrente, el DMV de Watsonville.
Sí.
Estamos ahí enfrente en la iglesia, la oficina CIMA. Pueden venir si necesitan no sé, ayuda con lo que sea para renovar su acción diferida, más información sobre la ley AB60, más información sobre la Executive Action de Obama, o cualquier otra pregunta que tengan sobre migración, también pueden venir ahí a la oficina.
Y si quieren aprender más del Club de Sueños, tienen que ir a Pajaro Valley High, ¿no?
Sí.
Okay, qué bueno.
Sí.
Bueno, gracias, damas. Yo soy Sandino Gomez, el conductor de este programa, ¿no? Y gracias por estar con nosotros. I'm Sandino Gomez. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight. This is a topic near and dear to my heart, and I thank the ladies again for joining us. And just stay informed. This is something that really does affect our community. Like if you heard, about 10,000 people in our county alone will be affected by this driver's license law. So this is good news, but it's definitely something that's not done. Please stay informed. Please stay involved. Please keep on marching and lobbying and organizing and doing whatever you got to do. From community television and the wonderful studios here, thank you all of the folks. Again, I'm Sandino Gomez. Thank you so much, and good night.